What is up, denizens of the interwebs? It's Arza Chats here, coming at you with another video, and this time we're watching Agatha All Along, episode 3. Now, I have heard nothing about this episode so far, so I'm going in 100% blind. All I know is that Chris Gore said that this one and the 4th episode are basically escape rooms, and I love escape rooms, so maybe this will be good. For a recap, I kind of enjoyed the first episode. I gave it like a 5 out of 10. The second episode was a bit better with a much tighter story, but it was still meandering and was a 6.5 out of 10 for me. And really the only problem with the show is it's just so bloated and so long that realistically, if the show was cut in half in length, it would be a lot better of an episode. So like, subscribe, and let's just get this over with, because I'm sure everyone cannot wait to see if we hear more witches sing. It took a minute and 13 to get into the episode, and I wasn't given a skip preview or skip intro option. I do like the fact that we're still using a sound stage instead of using the volume, as far as I can tell at least. It doesn't look overly CG to me. Miss Hart is supposed to be the outsider looking in, but she's kind of just annoying, but that's just the actress, so I guess I can give it a little bit of an excuse.
Someone really needs to call this kid's parents.
Oh, alright, she's okay. I like Zamada now. She is the best character in the show, hands down. Why is it that these two witches who don't believe in the witch's robe seem to know more about it than Agatha Harkness does, who has already walked the road? They're arguing about what it's going to be, and Agatha looks like she's completely clueless and taken aback by what these two are saying, even though Agatha, we know, walked the road. Also, just like women do, they continue to bicker non-stop. They finally asked Agatha what they can expect, and it was nothing. It was a terrible answer. One trial for each task that will test us. It was a nothing answer, almost as if Agatha doesn't know what she's talking about. The witches continue to interrogate Wiccan and ask him what his name is, and of course, the sigil appears on his name, to which Sight Witch says, "Oh my god, someone put a sigil on that boy," and they all turn to Agnes Harkness, expecting that she was the one who put the spell on him, even though she's powerless. Agatha does a doable job of getting the rest of the party back together, except for Sharon Hart, who has wandered off into the road to be lost, probably for good, hopefully. She sits down onto a log and sets her bag on it, and the log starts eating her bag. She tries to grab it because it's important. She goes, stop, this is from Talbot, stop. And of course it doesn't stop. And now she's being pulled in. She screams and alerts all the other witches where she is so they can come running towards her. Of course, the first thing one of them says is, "Where is she?" As if any of them know. She's lost. No one knows where she is. And then, just as the plot demands it, the path to the road opens up, to which Zamada goes, "Look." At least she didn't say, "Hey guys, you should probably take a look at this." Though that's the level of writing that I was expecting from the show, and I'm still expecting to hear it later on. Feet Finder called. They want their gig back. They've got to recoup their costs somehow, I guess. They walk up to the house, which is located on a beach, and they're like, "What do we do?" So Sharon goes and rings the doorbell because she's a polite, normal person. Agatha's like, "Don't we?" and just barges right in. And also, what I want to point out is, I love how even the furniture in this show is all female-centric. You see this pillow right here with the little crab? Little fun fact, that's a blue crab, which means that this house probably is set in Maryland, and it's a female blue crab because if you look at the tip of the claws, they're red or painted, which is an indication that the blue crab is a female. I know too much about blue crabs, don't ask. But of course, not even anyone in the cast is male, so it's not shocking that also the pillow behind them is also female. Sharon and I had the exact same feeling, except I was doing that before I started this episode. Anyone want to take a bet on how much the wardrobe budget was for this show? And for once, Wiccan looks respectable. And of course, it's far too humming for Agatha as she tries to get out of the house. She complains that she looks too much like one of her customers, but I have to say, that's not a terrible look for her. Well, it's not, "Hey guys, you should come take a look at this." It is, "Hey, check this out," which is almost just as bad. The road had an invitation for them. Agatha takes it. "What's this? A wedding? Oh, please don't be a baby shower." And I will admit, I actually chuckled a little bit because, as we all know, Agnes eats babies and nobody wants an unripe baby. And of course, it's a riddle. My age has value. I'm no fun alone. I mess with your mind. My tricks are well known. So I assume the whole point of this episode is just going to be them solving this riddle, which, Scooby-Doo, I guess. And then Sharon takes it, and what she has to offer is saying it's good, gorgeous cardstock, which I will admit, if I were to hold that, I'd probably say the same thing. That paper is incredibly thick, and I'm sure it would even double as being waterproof given how thick it is.
Double-sided, too.
What does it mean?
That it's really expensive.
Well, at least we know where her priorities lie, and honestly, same. Mrs. Hart turns around and sees that there's this nice bottle of wine, goes, "Wine!" And then Zamada's like, "Wow, that's it. 10 points for Mrs. Hart." And she goes, 10 points for what now? Which, glad to know that I have something in common with the cast and that we are all lushes. But I only drink dessert wines, and that certainly doesn't look like a dessert wine, so I think I'll pass. Samada drops that Agatha had traded her own child for the Book of the Damned, which makes a lot of the child scenes make a lot of sense. I don't remember if that was expressed in WandaVision. If it was, I don't remember, given how forgettable most of that show is. But that would explain a lot of the guilt that Agatha Harkness has, and I assume we'll be exploring that later. So kudos for them setting up that in the first episode and giving a little bit of a payoff now, and I'm sure they're going to pay it off later in the show. If not, I don't expect anything from the show anyway. And they name drop Mephisto to show that the showrunner finally learned that name because, he was supposed to be the villain of WandaVision, but the showrunner specifically said that she had never even heard of Mephisto because she never read the comics. Agatha is becoming more relatable every minute of the show because, my god, she's literally double the amount of everyone else, and of course everyone else is pissed at her for doing so.
Oh, okay. Wow.
What I have to do to get through this show. Except because it is noon, I don't have wine, I just have a root beer. Yay for me. And then once Sharon chugs her wine, a magical timer starts counting down to something. I love the fact that Teen doesn't get a glass. We support underage drinking over here, so I totally think he should have had one. He then immediately runs over to the bottom and goes, "Can I have some?" To which everyone's like, "No!" Like, I'm supposed to believe a bunch of 100-year-old witches are going to reject a teenager from drinking. But honestly, I had a little bit of a chuckle there because that is exactly how I would have acted when I was 16. So kudos on them for having a little bit of authenticity. And then Sharon takes the bottle to pour herself some more because she drank it all in one fell swoop. Man, they don't give it time for the tannins to rest. They don't give any smell. They don't care about the olfactory. They just drink it down. Okay, at least she smells it. She doesn't look too impressed though. But I wouldn't be impressed either if all I do every day is eat candles. Agatha drank about half of her glass and then dumped the rest of it out. Though I don't know if they made it intentional that she drank some, because we never saw her drink any, but from the first scene to this scene here, her glass is significantly lower in volume. And the Asian woman just starts spilling all of her guts out of nowhere, so I'm going to assume that the wine had a bit of a truth serum to it, and this is going to have everyone jumping at each other's throats by the end of it. After dumping out her glass, Agatha's glass refills itself on its own. I didn't know we were going to be looking at some of the Kardashians. I guess their outsides reflect their insides now. And Agatha's hiding her face because she didn't drink the wine, even though, small continuity error, they did show that she drank some of them given the fact that the wine was at a lower level. The divination witch says, "I love you guys," and then all of their faces return back to normal. Agatha is trying to cheat, and I don't know why she's shocked to know that cheating doesn't work, given the fact that she's walked the road before. She knows what the course is. Teen goes to drink the wine, and Agatha gets really defensive and tells him no, and now she's going to do it since Teen tried to threaten his own life. Also, it's a small amount of wine. Just let Teen drink. We support teenage drinking over here. And then Agatha drinks it all very unpleasantly. Maybe she just doesn't like alcohol, because she seems like the kind of person who'd be that kind of loser. And then Agatha comes up with a solution that's a mod of the potions witch has to try and figure out an antidote. I'm glad the witch's road accounted for fire safety, putting a nice little fire hydrant right there. And of course, the solution to finding petroleum is in Jen's bullshit skincare stuff. That's obviously snake oil, as Agatha rightly calls. I guess I have to give them props for continuing the fact that she's a bullshit artist who's been damaging people all along. The hallucinations are starting to kick in, and I have a feeling that this is either going to be another waste of time, or it's actually going to be a really good exploration of the characters. This episode isn't bad so far. I'm actually liking a lot of stuff that's happening, so I'm leaning a little bit more lenient, so let's see where this goes. I've been wanting to do that since the beginning of the episode. Now, if only it was in melted candle wax instead. It took them 12 minutes to get all the ingredients together. Man, they're slacking. They actually handled the argument of whether or not Jen was selling fake goods or not pretty cleverly. Present the skincare, all natural or not, and she just goes drop it in. They don't even push it. I was really expecting them to fight over it. And I'm thinking they're going to bring it back for an additional joke later on, but I'm not sure. And I kind of hope that they leave it where it is, because I do like how they treated it in this one scene. Now, we haven't seen Agatha's hallucination yet, which I'm kind of hoping we do, because I think that could make or break this episode. Because so far, it's not horrible, in my opinion. Teen goes, "Is there a sous vide?" And of course, the two normal people, Agatha and the divination witch, are like, "What the hell? Does anyone know what the hell that is?" Of course, Alice and Jen both know who it is. I'm only just now learning their names, so I'm going to be using them or their actress names, and that's going to confuse everyone, including myself. And of course, they just have one because every single rich, white Maryland house does, I guess. Of course, he doesn't know which way counterclockwise is. Agatha's hallucination has started, and it is, of course, of her son. She approaches a bassinet that has a baby crying in it, and as she gets close enough to it, she goes to pull back the cover, and sitting inside of the bassinet is nothing other than the Darkhold. They need all of their hairs, but they're seemingly forgetting about Sharon's hair, so we'll see if the potion actually works. I assume it will, and they'll just ignore that little plot hole that they missed Sharon's hair, but it's a minor one in the grand scheme of things. When the episode is doing a serviceable job so far, I guess it's not that big of a problem. And they're arguing over cerulean, which I 100% expected them to do, because I don't even think I know what color cerulean is, because, you know, I'm a normal person. As Jen is having an absolute mental breakdown, Agatha grabs her and goes, "I've always hated you," which is probably the best pep talk you could have in this situation, because I agree, I do not like this character yet. And her pep talk is just, "I've always hated you, but I've left you alone because you were doing important work with the witchcraft, specifically the potion craft she was doing. Not the hippy-dippy, hocus-pocus, kale crap that she's been doing that's in the snake oil she's been selling, but actual potions work." She follows up, "They can take your magic, but they can't take your knowledge." And the thing she forgot was the blood of the empoisoned. They've probably got like 10 seconds left, though, so they're going to succeed last minute, of course, but whatever. And right before cutting Teen's hand to get the blood, she goes, "Thanks for being underage," and then just immediately does it, which I have to admit, that also gave me a bit of a chuckle. The show is definitely improving. Now, of course, they said that this potion was incredibly volatile, and everything had to be added in the exact order at the exact right time, so, I guess we're just going to ignore that rule, too. And, of course, they forgot about Mrs. Hart, just like I assumed the writers did. Only Agatha's the one smart enough to get the thing, and they're doing a fireman assembly pass with the bottle instead of just rushing over to feed it to her that way. Whatever. They've seemingly run out of time because they gave it to her exactly at 0, and then the oven opens up, so... And the seer witch goes, "I am not climbing into an oven." I had a friend who did that once. She had a lovely house too, and I'm honestly glad they made the joke so I don't have to. And then the window bursts, basically just letting them know that they either get into the oven or they drown. Both are common ways that witches die. Jan rushes into the oven immediately, and everyone else is going in immediately, all ignoring Mrs. Hart. The only who seems to remember Mrs. Hart is Alice. But because Alice is a 5'2" woman, she can't lift a 5'7" woman on her own. I don't know why they were so quick to send Teen down, given the fact that he's the only non-essential. Whee! Water slides! I do have to say, I love the fact that they're consistently pushing each other out of the way. They're never actually helping each other, and whenever they need to get somewhere, they just shove whoever's next to them. It's a small thing that actually does mean a lot, as it goes to show the sheer dynamic in the coven. And they were too late to save Sharon, and she is now dead. Which leaves this team critically missing a green witch, so I assume next episode we're going to be seeing Aubrey Plaza show up to take her place. I have to give them props. I actually laughed. After saying that Sharon's dead, Agatha goes, "Who's Sharon?" And then the episode just ends. Honestly, not the worst. This is, if I'm being entirely honest, this is significantly less bad of an episode than the last one. This is probably the strongest episode in the show so far. Teen was bearable. I didn't find him overly annoying. Agatha was a lot stronger of a character. Catherine Hahn was doing a lot less overacting, and it more fit the scene. And the other characters got some character development, so we actually understand a little bit of who they are. This episode's probably 7.5 out of 10. There's still a lot of meandering, a lot of wasting of time, and there are a couple of different plot holes that leave this episode a little unsatisfactory. It's nowhere near as good as, say, Penguin, but it's enjoyable. You know, I didn't hate this episode. I wouldn't go back and watch it again of my own free will, unless I was, like, watching it with someone who wanted to watch it. I don't see that being much of a thing, though. It's just okay. It's slow, and it's okay. I really wish the episodes would stop wasting time, but I felt like this one respected my time a little bit more. But still, it's slow. That's all I can say about it. Characters were more reasonable. The character dynamics are consistent, and they're doing a good job maintaining continuity, aside from a few times when they don't, such as when they ignore the fact that the potion is very specific, and then they show Agatha's glass being at different volumes, despite establishing that she never drank. But that's basically what I've got. If the show continues on this style, then I probably won't actually end up hating it. The first two episodes were slog to get through, but this episode was kind of enjoyable. We'll see if it stays the course, and let me know what you guys think down below, and thanks for coming along with me on this episode.